How about introducing solid foods? I know you talk a lot about, this whole concept as to how to do it, when to do it. I mean, both of you are prolific in this advice. Can we unpack that? Starting with you, Dr. Sears?
You just hit one of the biggest mistakes in medicine, is what we used to start babies on.
Yeah, let's go with the formula concept.
Let's just get into the brain for a minute. It's common sense, all right? You're feeding a little fathead.
The brain is growing faster than the rest of the body.
The life of the baby, right then. Rice cereal, no fat. That rice cereal.
What was that all about? What happened?
Just carbohydrate.
When I looked at when we were first having babies years ago, and I looked at that, I said, it reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Dumb and Dumber. Rice cereal. So, our favorite first food is avocado.
Beautiful fats. Yeah.
Avocado, fat.
Yeah.
So fat it's the most nutrient-dense fruit you can use. It's fat, vitamin, minerals, and it has a mouthfeel that is that umami again, similar to breast milk.
Yep. And not too sweet like fruits.
That's not too sweet. And so we start with avocado around 6 months, and we look for the cue in the baby. We call it mooching. When baby's watching mommy eat, when baby's reaching for the spoon, when baby gives you the cue called mooching, that's the time. And it's usually 5 to 7 months in that range. And then, so avocados, in other words, sweet potatoes. But this will surprise you. Salmon at 7 months.
Wow, that early?
Yep. Salmon at 7 months.
No risk of developing any intolerances?
I have a little, throughout my office, I have what I call healthy reminders. In fact, our viewers can go to our website, AskDrSears.com, and download all these things. Healthy reminders. Salmon says, I'm a smart food.
DHA, omega-3 fatty acids.
So we start salmon, wild salmon, at 7 months. And when parents in my office say, what? Why salmon? What I do is I say, okay, let's imagine the 10 top nutrients in your baby's brain, the 10 top nutrients. And then I show them a little page here, the 10 top nutrients in a fillet of wild salmon. And they say, wow, there's no food at all on the planet that has 10 of the top nutrients in the brain in a little fillet of wild salmon.
So that's where we go to when it comes to food. And naturally, and they're going to love it if they don't, or if it's hard to get it to them. This is where the mastery and genius around supplementation comes in, right? So you can't, in some instances, I believe, eat yourself into therapeutic range. What is a mom to do, for example, if they've been to the Ask Sears website and they've punched in salmon and they've tried salmon with their child and they spit it out, and it takes, 7 or 8 times to introduce to them before they latch on?
Keep going.
You keep going. You keep pushing. What do they do?
Cod liver oil is the oldest adage, probably the original vitamin supplement in the world. Cod liver oil. Traditions in many countries, their parents giving their babies cod liver oil. It was because they knew inherently that omega-3 DHA is in there. So you've got salmon, you've got cod liver oil. There's some algae oils now that have a high DHA. But simply, you can get the oil in concentrated form and just add it to their foods. Put it on the avocado. Add it to it. Just supplement.
Therapeutic.
We call it sneaky. Sneak it in. You don't even know what's in there.
Okay, so we promised everyone we'd get into the microbiome. So from in utero to breastfeeding to introduction of certain foods early on, what is all this doing insofar as maintaining and establishing and supporting a healthy microbiome, and why do parents care? Why do new moms and dads care that their kids have not just healthy poops? We're not talking about regularity. And you wrote the book on it, Rick. You wrote the book on Dr. Poo. I mean, and it was so important that you wrote a guide, not just a guide to healthy, regular poop with a stool, sampling visual in here, but also an establishment of the microbiome. Tell us all about this. Why is this important?
Well, Bryce, you just mentioned the magic word in medicine right now, microbiome. Mm-hmm. Microbiome is the word for tiny gut bugs, tiny bugs, tiny bacteria in your gut. So trillions of tiny bacteria reside in the lower intestine, the large intestine, and the lining of the large intestine is sort of like a shag carpet. Mm-hmm. So the microbiome resides in the nooks and crannies of that shag carpet. Now, there are trillions of them. And in return for free food and a warm place to live, the microbiome makes medicines for you. Yep. Yep. So you have an internal pharmacy inside.
Right.
It's a microbiome pharmacy. They make medicines my favorite medicine they make is serotonin. They help make serotonin.
The feel-good hormone.
The happy hormone. They make it in the gut and they ship it up to the brain. And the head brain and the gut brain are connected. Yep. That's why the gut's called the second brain for a reason. Yep. And so the head brain say, hey, gut brain microbiome, how you doing down there? And they say, hey, head brain, we're moving along fine down here as long as you don't stress me out up here.
Right.
See, so there's that gut brain, head brain connection. Yeah. And the microbiome, and you know what the microbiome's favorite food is?
I would guess fiber?
It's, for a baby, I want to go back to your opener.
Oh, colostrum.
Breast milk.
Breast milk, of course.
The microbiome loves breast milk. Yeah. And what's interesting, there's and to get my patients, I always give my patients little things to remember. And there's an ingredient in breast milk called the microbiota. M-O-M. Mom. The microbiota. It's the nutrient, like the probiotic that feeds the gut bugs. Mm-hmm. So can you imagine when baby is breastfeeding, those trillions of little bacteria, there are actually 3 pounds of them. If you would take all these bacteria and put them, 3 pounds, that all these little trillions of gut bugs say, here comes mom. Here comes mom. Yep. Mom's nursing.
Because they got to eat too.
Yeah, pardon?
Yeah. Because they got to eat too.
They got to eat too. And basically our the microbiome, they live on our leftovers.
Right.
They live on our leftovers. The fiber that we can't digest,
helps
the microbiome can.
Prebiotic. To put it, what you just said in perspective, Bill, so the human body has 30 trillion cells, and in our microbiome, there's 38 trillion bacteria. Yeah. So we're outnumbered. If we don't look after them, they're not going to look after us.
But we're buggy.
Right? But really, the importance, it cannot be overstated.